Good, beautiful morning. It is Monday, June the 6th, 2022, and I want to welcome you to Shortcuts for Your Soul Monday edition. My name is William Michael Ford. I'm a spiritual medium, a channel, and an intuitive life coach. And what we do here is we bring through messages from various entities from different dimensional realms of perception that are usually higher in frequency than humans. I have the pleasure and honor of bringing this being I've never experienced before named Methuselah through today, and he wants to talk about several things, but he says it's important you understand how to start your journey home here and now. He's very specific that I place in brackets the words here, ampersand, now. That's the and sign. Here and now. Start your journey home here and now. One of the things he was saying to me this morning while I was getting my breakfast ready, he was talking about the reality that most of you believe that you're a body is an illusion, that you find yourself struggling with this idea of age, of getting older, of birth and life and death, and you do not understand what is really going on as a result of your perceptions. And one of the things he wanted to clarify is that the feeling of life, good morning, the feeling of life, if you speak to somebody who's gotten older, say they're in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even 90s, even centenarians, he said if you ask any of these people if they feel older, they'll say no, they don't feel older. He said, that's because you do not age. You evolve. Your body goes through a process that you call aging, which can be altered and changed as an act of your will when you come to the understanding of your nature, your role, and your sphere of influence over matter, time, and space. But all of this influence over your body, your health, your vitality, can only be understood from the here and the now. This moment, without reference point to yesterday or tomorrow, is the only place that you can begin to break free of the illusionary nature that the body presents to you and the illusionary nature that a so-called future presents to you. Many of the conceptions and ideas that you have about life are mistaken. You see, your physical body is only the instrument through which you are learning, experiencing, understanding, comprehending, and applying what you come to understand. Most of the functions of your body are unconscious to you. Most of the functions of your body are unconscious to you. And that is simply because most of you do not have the clarity of self, the clarity of self-awareness to keep those functions enabled the way they need to be in order for that body to exist. And so the unconscious functions of your body keep it alive on your behalf until a level of understanding is achieved where you can actually alter and change the processes of the aging, the processes of digestion, the processes of how the body functions can come under your authority. And they are under your authority to varying degrees anyway. Although you cannot deliberately and intentionally regulate your heartbeat, if you were in the right state of consciousness, the right state of awareness, your heartbeat would never fail. The concept of immortal life has been something that has perplexed humans. The idea that there is a death does not seem to make sense because it does not make sense. There is no death from the perspective of what you are as a consciousness. The extension of life is something that is available to all of you, but for the most part, many of you have a body that functions unconsciously. That is, the way it processes and digests and assimilates what you put into it from the environment is pretty much out of your deliberate control. When you put a bit of food in your mouth, you do not concern yourself with that food afterwards. You let the unconscious mechanisms of your body carry out those functions that you yourself do not understand. Many of you have no awareness that your body is an instrument that you are utilizing while you're in the process of evolving. Your journey home begins when you begin to assume conscious and deliberate authority over the functions of matter in relationship to your ability to originate changes over functions in matter. For example, you have gained the functionality of opening and closing hands. You've gained the conscious and deliberate functionality of this. You've gained the conscious and deliberate functionality of language, learning to utilize vibrational information to articulate it into expressions that you produce into a frequency of sound that you can begin to comprehend and understand each other through those physical bodies. You have become conscious in inducting the body into that expression. And there are many languages and there are many of you. But for the most part, once the body is inducted into a state of expression, it tends to maintain it on your behalf once it is sufficiently trained. And I will go so far today as to say that even the aging process of your body can come under the sphere of your conscious authority over it. But that would require several things for you to understand. One, what is it that the body needs in order to function optimally? That would then take the process of nutrition and what the body rebuilds and utilizes from what you place into it to a different realm. When you begin to give it different elements to nourish it, you can change the functionality, its optimal state or a less optimal state, depending upon what you begin to articulate for it. There's also the process of movement for your body. Again, this is about asserting an authority over matter that you came here to comprehend, that you have an authority over matter. Your modern sciences indicate a very clear understanding that there is a level of authority emerging in your awareness of how matter functions, but there seems to be very little information on the fact that your ability to organize matter is not restricted to the mechanisms of scientific exploration and discovery, but are also connected directly to your consciousness, your ability to influence matter with your consciousness, to change even the unconscious features of the body, such as your heart rate and your digestion, the way the body moves or does not move. You can come to an understanding of your authority over matter. And then your journey begins home. And then you begin to understand that the form that you have is simply an instrument. You want to understand how you find freedom, from your suffering. Well, most of you believe that your suffering is due to the body in and of itself. Most of you believe that your suffering is due to something unnatural in your minds that cause you to think and feel in certain ways. And this is quite far from the truth, that you as a conscious awareness may lack certain training in order to assert a correct authority over your mind, over the physical body, that would allow it to function under your direction more effectively. But again, as I said in the very beginning, most of the functions of your body are unconscious to you. They happen automatically. This gave you the opportunity from the moment of conception to begin a process of becoming self-aware, becoming aware of your relationship to matter, that when you do certain things with matter, in this case, the existence of your body, a mere smile upon the face of your body, a mere smile upon the face of your body, directed by you, will cause a change in the function of your body. It causes a change in the chemistry of your body. Please understand the significance of something so simple as a smile. That when you can move into that conscious awareness and articulate a change in the body, you also become aware that that scope of influence does not exist exclusively for your relationship with that body, but that relationship exists simultaneously with the environment around you, most of which you may think or believe is beyond your control, but which you have a role of influence in, much the same way as you have a role of influence even over your heartbeat when you become aware of that fact. That by the slow and deliberate articulation of your breathing, you can begin to regulate even the rhythm of your heartbeat. That a process of giving attention to one part or another part of your body will exert an influence over it. And again, that influence is not restricted to the functions of your own biology. The journey home is the journey of mastery, of understanding that you are not a subject to matter exclusively, but that matter is a subject to you exclusively. All of the great healers and teachers throughout the histories of many civilizations, many species upon this planet, there were certain individuals amongst all of them that came to this understanding. I was present during the last fall of what you call civilization, the last great fall. This would go back some 12,723 years ago, when there was a great shift in the environment, which was a direct effect and cause of the conditions of the way in which thought and emotion were being articulated creatively by the collective intelligence of the species at that time. The human species at that time had lost sight of the relationship they bore over matter, time, and space by the mere nature of thought and the energy that thought can stimulate as a causative element towards matter. In other words, that your thoughts and your emotions articulate expressions in your experience of time and space. I see now the same process unfolding in this existing civilization, and while your sciences seek to find out what caused civilizations to rise and to fall, and they will find cause and effect in conditions of a solar nature, or causes and effects in terms of what you would call planetary interactions with other spiritual bodies in time and space, such as what you would call asteroids or meteors. But all of these things are effects of the creative process of thought and emotion, as it articulates, alters, and changes the function of matter in relationship to that individual consciousness that is orchestrating the thought, generating the emotion, and observing the effects of that in time and space. You will find yourselves gaining evidence of what I say here today by simply the act of a smile. And you cannot deny that even in the act of a smile, you feel and are experiencing a change in the energy of your body. In this case, the energy in your face. The process of chemistry and the function of body changes even with the simple act of a smile. And this is the most simplest example that I can offer you to gain some conception that you are an orchestrator of your experiences in this condition of time and space, both individually and collectively, that you cannot separate thought and emotion from expressions in matter. You cannot, except thought and emotions. You cannot separate them from matter for any reason. You can separate yourself from the effects of your own causes, as you are not bound by time, space, and matter, as the conditions of matter themselves are, effects of one agency affecting another. But you can come to the understanding that you are able to affect matter and therefore articulate a different expression in your conditions of time and space. What does that mean? That the act of a smile, well, it will cause a change in your physical structure, in how you will feel, as easily as an expression on your face of frustration or sadness or disappointment will cause a change in your experience of matter. As you become conscious of this fact, then you move into the position of being able to assert an authority over your thoughts, which in turn illustrates an authority over energy, or what you call in the physical nature of your consciousness, emotion. And that emotion induces and inducts changes into the condition of matter. Your human civilization is a very good example of this. Look around at your cities, which were once great vast forests filled with wild animals, or so you think they are wild. But your cities were filled by vast forests. They did not exist. Your thoughts, generating emotions, articulated changes in your expressions, and you converted the substance of what you used to call forests into the manifestation that you exist in, you call cities. That there's a clear distinction of cause and effect between the awareness that you are, the thoughts that you think, the electrical energy in the form of emotion that they generate, and what you call the manifestation of cities or civilization around you. In your process of being lost in the idea of fear, the idea of shame, the idea of anger, these energies require certain qualities of thought that in turn induce a change in the electrical flow of energy in the form of emotions. And so these thoughts that are based in a negative electrical generating charge called fear differ in their expression and effect in time and space than do expressions of the electrical potential of energy that you call love or positive ideas and information. Each induces very different and precise effects in time and space. What I see now is your civilization sitting on the brink of that precipice that I watched in the last Great Fall, where you are torn as a civilization between authority, control, power, fear, and love, not understanding your nature causally to what thought and emotion do in the world of manifestation or the material world. Coming to the understanding that your journey home is where you recognize you have authority. You have authority over thought. You have authority over emotion. You have authority, therefore, over matter, as all emotion induces the function of your biology into action. All emotion does this. All emotion induces your body into functions, behaviors that cause effects in your condition of this world. If those behaviors are driven by the vibrational energy of a fear, no matter how noble the idea may be, if the energy of fear is what is generated by a quality of thought, then there are very specific and precise effects of the vibrational energy of what you call fear versus the vibrational expressions of the energy you would call love, as there are essentially only those two polarities in this dimensional experience that we label as fear or we label as love, and there are many different shades of each of those in between. My goal in coming today to this was to offer you the only place that such a change in your future that would be positive can be attained is in the present moment, in this now moment. You cannot create something different than what you had before. If what you had before is all you are holding in your mind, you will create more of the same. It is here and now in this moment that you can be mindful, aware of what your mind is thinking, aware of what electrical energies those thinkings generate in the form of what you call emotion. And it is only in the present moment of awareness where you are aware that thought I have is not the thought I desire to have, that you can change those thoughts or you can change those concerns about your future, but you can only make any changes in your experience of time, space, and matter from this here, this now, in any moment that you find yourself becoming aware. And therefore, the definition of here and now is simply the moment at which you are aware of a function of thought as a causal effect on emotional energy that causes creative experiences in the material world. To become aware that you are aware is the here and now. To be aware that you are aware, and that from this perspective of awareness, you can become conscious that certain thoughts energetically generate emotional qualities that alter the expression of matter through your body. This happens both on the individual scale and on the collective scale. That is, the general experience of energy is produced by an agreement of some form between yourself and all others in this physical dimension in the spectrum of human collective unconsciousness. To come to an awareness that you can induce a change in energy through the utilization of thought is to move yourself into the present moment. That you can choose in this moment, this thought does not serve my creation. This expression serves my creation. As you become aware that you can articulate change and assert an authority over matter through the mechanism of thought, at that point, you begin the process of becoming free. You begin the process of liberating yourself back to the place of the eternal nature of your being. For you as awareness, as what we term soul, are eternal and immortal, which is why we had said earlier, if you speak to someone who is in a much older form of age and you ask them, do you feel older? They will always tell you, no, I do not feel older, but my body is old. I don't know why my body is getting so old, they say. It doesn't make any sense because you are in your nature immortal. Whereas the mind and body are finite, but they can be altered and changed. The life of the body can be altered and changed by the nature and quality of the energies moving through it, either in through it from the environment or in through it through your process of thinking. That certain qualities of thought and what you give attention to will organize the conditions of your body as equally as the things that you will place into it in the form of nutrition or the air that you breathe or the things that you expose the body to. Both the environment and your awareness can assert an influence upon the process of what you call aging. These effects can be altered and changed when you become cognizant of this fact. You become aware that certain things you will place in the body will improve its life, and there's certain things that you will place in the body that do not improve its life. And as you become aware of that and you begin to assert your conscious authority over what you will allow in your house or what you will allow out of your house, that these things affect your experience of being in time and space, then you have the opportunity to begin to live your life more fully, where there are some that can live in this world far, far beyond what is conventionally understood or known in time and space. The capacity that your body has to live for an extended period of time is wholly determined by the nature and quality of the thoughts and the energy that those thoughts direct through the body simultaneously, combined with what you allow into the body in the form of food and nutrition. There are some among you now that do not no longer require food. There are some among you that no longer need to eat food. They do not gain from this world what they can give to this body from their own consciousness. That they can induce frequencies of energy into the body that can sustain and maintain it greater than the substances of natural nature and nutrition from this world. There is a fruit of the divine then that they begin to nurture and nourish the body with. An energy, in some of your Eastern philosophies, this energy would be called prana, that this prana can in fact keep the body alive independent of the consumption of food, simultaneously awakening their awareness to the fact that they are not the body. Then the process of experience then as awareness, observing how it is no longer subjective to matter, but that matter is subjective to it, that the body is wholly and completely under the jurisdiction of the awareness that is articulating itself through a particular form at any given point of time and space. The journey home is where you know with absolute certainty that you are, that you are not bound by the conditions of time, space, and matter, but that time, space, and matter are bound by the conditions of your awareness. That what you are as an awareness, what you are aware of, what you hold in mind, begins to influence matter, body, and this environment. You can continue the process of seeking to manipulate environmental conditions to try and make yourself more favorably under the illusion that you somehow can control it only from that level, but that has resulted again in many failures of civilization, thinking that maliciously controlling and manipulating conditions of matter will find you the freedom that you seek, the liberation. But this place of awareness, this here and now, where you know that you are no longer subjective to thought, to memory, to emotion, to know that you're no longer subjective to those things, but that they are in fact instruments of your own creative learning. Then the process of thinking you have to consume the planet into oblivion in order to understand the nature of who you are becomes unnecessary. That each and every one of you have the capacity to cultivate enough understanding and awareness that what you would eat and what you would drink would be very different than what you understand right now. And you find yourselves, many of you, suffering physiologically and psychologically, not because there's something fundamentally wrong with you, but because you simply do not understand the nature of your role in utilizing thought and matter to gain an understanding of your creative capability and influence over it. To recognize that vitality in your body is not simply a matter of what you will place into the body from the world, but what you hold in mind in relationship to it. Here and now is the only place from which you can begin to articulate the changes that you're seeking. To know that your thoughts are not the nature of who you are, but the nature of who you are can determine your thoughts. And those in turn determine the effects of experience you have in matter. And from this perspective, you are free. You begin to understand that you become home. And those that sit in bodies old and broken, saying, I still do not feel a day older than when I was a child, they understand that they are not aging at all. And the truth is, you do not age at all. The body certainly goes through that process based upon the nature and quality of the thoughts and emotions you articulate through it. For there have been many throughout the various iterations of your civilizations, there have been many that have transcended subjectivity to matter to such an extent that they were even able, like you can displace a thought in your mind, they could simply elevate the body to a state of what you'd call invisibility, and they could return down to it at will. This is a process that you have in many of your religious philosophies. What you call ascension, what you call the resurrection, are examples of where great masters had learned to articulate their authority over matter to such a degree that they could precipitate something and remove something from precipitation. But this requires great consideration and a level of effort that is important to be understood from the perspective of what you are here and now. You are a beautiful soul existing as awareness through a mechanism of matter and thought, and learning, therefore, that matter and thought are in fact subjective and subservient to your will. It is very obvious, is it not? That you can make the body sit, and you can make the body stand, or you can make the body eat, or walk, or talk. And as you gain more authority and gain more alignment with your true nature, many of the functions that you call unconscious in your body, the ability to alter and change your chemistry, the ability to alter and change substance in the body, moves to a whole new level of expression as you come to the awareness of what you are, that you are a spirit of universal light, a soul able to articulate changes in matter as an act of your will. That is all. Wow. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. What an amazing day we're starting out with. Thank you so much, Methuselah. As we go through this next few years, it's going to be really important. Somebody sent me a question. They're asking, why do we only do live shows? And I just want to say this. The reason they told me to do live shows is they said that mistakes from your human self can happen, but you do not need the mechanisms of manipulation and control that are being asserted on humanity right now in great number. So most people are being manipulated and controlled by music and scary music and exciting music. People are being manipulated and controlled by media. And they said, we will not offer any manipulations for anyone. We will simply offer them the truth that they may know and find their freedom through it. But no manipulations is what they said had to be the new mode of communication of truth and wisdom and knowledge, without the manipulations of smell and sight and sound that you see in many news shows and TV shows, and they use sound and things to manipulate. They said no manipulations. I just wanted to answer that question for you. So that's why we do the live shows, so that you get the truth as it is presented in the moment. Question from hi Chris, hi Adam. Question from Adam. What specific energetic factors account for a certain species of spirits? You asked that question last week, Adam, and I believe it was answered. Question from Olena. How do we sustain ourselves without food? Could it be done with sun energy? That's a great question, Olena, and the answer to that is yes, but there are also other ways. There is a philosophy called sun gazing, where apparently they can re-stimulate the body to function on photosynthesis. But there's also a group of beings called the breatharians, who have learned to utilize pranic energy, and it's an energy that you draw in your body all the time. But they've learned how to harvest it to keep the body alive without food. Apparently, though, they still need to drink water, but they can exist for decades or even lifetimes without food with that knowledge. So you can look those up, the breatharians. I'll post a link in the description box below this video to one example of that I know of, that I came across. My wife came across a little while ago, so I'm going to put that example in the description box below. Great question, Elena. Question from Manoj. I have been getting a strong pull to go to my native village and live there for a long time. What is the spirit guidance here? Shall I go? It's funny. They're just laughing. They're saying, you are being pulled and yet you resist. Why would you resist the pull? It is much easier to not resist, is it not? Why question except if you wish to resist? Stop resisting. Wow. Question from Jana. What does the chemistry of being in love does, and how can we use this for body connections like youthing? Oh, great question. Let me ask. Again, if you understand the vibrational nature of a thing, you do not necessarily need to know the thought process, but once you can experience the vibrational nature of the thing, do not place the nature of the vibration outside of yourself. So if you are seeing somebody and you feel the vibration of love and joy, remember that they are not the source of it. The source of it is within you. Stay with that vibration. Stay with that energy. Cultivate your relationship with that internal vibrational energy. That vibration that you call love is a form of youthing in and of itself. It is a frequency that is life extending. It is a frequency that brings more life together. That is why so many of you, when you do fall in love, you come together. You do not separate. But if you sit in the energy of that vibration of love, even the vibration of joy, the vibration of excitement, the vibration of playfulness, the vibration of curiosity, all of these vibrations can promote an extension of your life. if you understand how to embody them. But many of you seek to find these vibrations outside of yourself. You think, may I will find joy from this, and I will find love from that, and I will get my happiness here, and I will get my happiness there. And you find yourself separated. You think that in the world is where it all comes from, but within you, the whole world is also. So find those vibrations within yourself and repose yourself in them. Be in that vibration. You will be content. You will understand then why so many of the mystics find themselves teaching from a perspective of aloneness, being in a singular position, not needing relationship with another outside of themselves, but simply here to express the nature of their being to others, to offer them the opportunity to become likewise. They learn and teach by example. Wow, thank you, Jana. Great question. Question from Lauren. Yeshua says, breathe in the golden white light and get and fill your whole body and breathe out that same light. Expect a miracle. I lighten your emotions and thoughts. That's a great statement. Thank you for sharing that. Question from Animo. No one I know has been open to receive this information, so I have endeavored to project transformational energy as high and as far as I can imagine. What guidance is available on this day? Thank you. They're saying then you understand what guidance would you need other than the truth which you use. Understand that your process of emanating, your light shall not diminish your light, but increase it. And it will increase the light of others that are in the darkness. They will come to you. They will come to you to learn what you understand. But please understand you are already doing that without question. You are already understanding the very thing that has been said to you today. You're already understanding this, that you are radiating, much like your sun in the sky radiates, so too you need not concern yourself with who upon the light will shine, for all will delight in its light. Fear not. Wow. Thank you. And we've got time for one more question, guys. Question from Nancy. I have been feeling more anxious lately. Why am I having a hard time quieting my mind? It is getting harder for me. I don't know who this is. This is your guardian angel, and he wants me to tell you, stop trying to force the mind into silence. Rather, embrace the mind. Embrace the anxiousness in your love. Embrace the anxiousness in your love. Many of you seek to try and get rid of those things, but understand, you are a transformer of these things. Embrace it with your love, your anxiousness. Do not attack it. Do not try to get away from that. It is something calling your attention. Bring your love to it, and you will see the great promise that you've been seeking in your attempts to get rid of this anxiousness. Embrace that which does not seem so pleasing to you with your love, and you shall be free, for your love is far more transformative than is denial or rejection. Wow. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that. Guys, I want to say thank you so much for coming out today. Also, I want to remind everybody, in 3 weeks' time, our Mediumship 101 Masterclass begins for those of you that want to explore and cultivate your intuition, your clairs, the different ways you can perceive these multidimensional beings. You can go to my website, williammichaelforbes.com, and sign up for our Mediumship 101 Masterclass, which begins July the 8th. I want to say thank you, everybody, for coming out today. This Wednesday, I have the group that calls themselves the Adamics, and they're coming through to talk about the Tree of Life. And that's going to be this Wednesday, June the 8th on Shortcut for Your Soul. So come and join us for that. I want to thank Methuselah again for being present with us, and the other beings that have come around as well. Thank you so much. And I want to thank all of you for showing up. If you're new to the channel, remember to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, and give the video a thumbs up, and share this information with other people. There's no greater need for people to know the knowledge of who they are than there is now. Share the truth. Suffering is unnecessary. You do not have to suffer anymore when you understand that you can choose your thoughts. You can alter and change emotional energy, you're no longer a victim. You're now a creator. I want to say much love to all of you. Thank you for coming out, and thank you, my Patreon supporters. We will be doing our Patreon event this week, tomorrow night at 7 p.m., and you'll be receiving the notification for that. So I'm going to look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow night, my patrons, for the Patrons Live Only event. Much love, everybody. Have yourselves a wonderful and a joyful day, and I will see you guys on Wednesday.